Seguimos en el contexto del Risk Management and Trading Conference 2023 con la oportunidad de tener conversaciones extraordinarias, conversaciones que difícilmente podemos repetir en el resto del año con las mujeres y los hombres más destacados de las finanzas en el mundo entero. Hoy tenemos el gusto y el honor de poder conversar con Yuri Perin. Él es Quant multi-asset, él es asesor de muchos fondos de inversión, de los hedge funds. It's really an honor to have you here, a great opportunity to hear you, and mostly in this moment that ESG, that the consciousness of the environment and people's importance is growing and is reshaping the way to take decisions on investments worldwide. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you guys for having me.
Well, first of all, something important we have to understand in the finance sector. What is really new in this process of evolvement of many things that are changing? What is really new and what is evolving from the past?
Yes.
and getting reshaped?
Yes. Well, I guess I should say that the ESG, so the environmental, social, and governance, it's not a new thing. You mentioned it correctly. It's an evolvement, right? We can see it as the I would call it tools, maybe as the tools that the United Nations, through their sustainable development goals, are actually try to leverage, worldwide through their commitment and the help of the World Economic Forum. So if we deconstruct, we have the environmental side, the social side, and the government side. But if we really look closely, we can see this. There are 2 out of 3 of these 3 components that actually were already there in the markets way before actually the term was, that it came into place. So if we ask about the evolvement, I would say that is very much on the social side, because that's where actually, if you want to implement something new, regardless if it's political, internal the company, you need to convince the group of people that your stakeholders, right? The stakeholder management. And there are different ways that you can do this. And these days, I guess because of, maybe my age is, you still used to go out on the street and play with the people. Now it's all like on Twitter and on Facebook. So they use those means, to create consciousness, conscious awareness, actually better, great awareness on the social side. But the environmental side, for example, has already been there since the late 60s, 70s. I can talk about the weather derivative markets, right? So people talk about this climate change, but we don't have to forget the commodity business in particular, like for the Latin American country, Mexico itself, that exports a lot of agricultural material of the southern United States. Those products provide an hedge, right, in the agricultural business. Not only, right, I can talk about weather derivatives on temperature. So you can actually have an hedge forecasting temperature, or forecasting rainfalls, snowfalls, wind, not only that. This is probably, it goes a little bit outside the finance directly, but if you look at the financial intermediaries, insurance firms are financial intermediaries, and their insurance business with the catastrophic bonds were already a means to cover catastrophes that were already happening there. Now, those probably are financial coverage more than actually physical coverage, right? So probably the involvement is trying to do something in the physical side. My main concern is just not putting all our hands in one basket and just go, bang on the environmental side, but took a progressive approach, right? And I just want to mention, for example, the power shortages that happen in the UK, right? That in the UK they had to go back and open up the coal mines that were closed in the 1980s, right? Just because of the shortages, a combination, of the current status quo or the rush to create renewable energy and the Russian-Ukraine conflict. I'm not going to get into that, but what I wanted to say is, let's not take that this is a brand new thing that has come up especially in the environmental and the governance side. Governance, for example, they had the government best practices, right? Turnover of directors, so on and so forth, so it's been there.
I love to hear about all these best practices. The problem is just for them to put them on practice. However,
that's another topic.
Yes, but good things are happening.
They are. I just want to reassure, and this is very, it's very important for the public and who is not a practitioner. There are instruments out there that can allow you to take hedging position or to take, so the financial markets already have been providing some solutions. Okay, so it's not a brand new thing.
You are working mainly in UK,
yes.
Although you are Italian, but
yes.
You are working in UK, where the evolvement of sustainability has been heading all these changes and all this perception worldwide for the last 20, 30 years. So in this moment, ESG is taking a position in UK of visibility from all the world. What is happening there? Because surely some, if not at all, part of it will happen in my country.
Yeah.
What in this moment you feel are the main trends? Where is the focus? Where it will evolve, and in extent and depth, where it will go through the different topics around the ESG agenda?
Yes. So the main involvement, as far as I'm concerned, is on the S, on the social side, which paradoxically is also the most difficult for the financial guys, the analysts, all the quants, those people that you see, thick sunglasses, they're sitting there. So that is the most difficult to so-called model. However, Europe, when I talk, unfortunately now, this is actually entangled with the UK going out of the European Union. But that it was actually a result of the European effort to provide coalitions with people, regarding. In fact, the start
the
of
mainframe to work out together.
The start of the European Union, we started with the
with the taxonomy.
With the taxonomy, but in 1957 with the Roman Treaty was yes, way before than me. But that was to provide commonalities and people working together in order to not have shortages of whatever, first of all, to bring peace and prosperity to everybody, but also there were countries that were not having, the possibility to produce electricity, right? So that sense of, I would say, unity, even though it sounds very much a Mao concept, but that sense of unity is still perceived. And I think Europe will always lead the way because of the diversification that has in its people, right? It's a little bit different in North America.
But community conscious, I think, mostly after the Second World War in Europe, became a great example of how we have to work. European Union won't be in this moment whether there were not, if you had not this conscious
exactly
of the community where you have to build from old to all.
Exactly. So I think that the major involvement and the main struggle, because that's what the difficulty is in the social side. But I think that's what the opportunity is.
So the focus will be in the social side?
Yes.
Although there is too much to do also in the environmental issues. And
there is.
I think about governance.
Yes.
There is one thing. I usually try to go ahead, and some of the finance specialists and business people sometimes go around my question. What about ethics in this moment that the politics, the governance of countries, of nations, is having a milestone of huge change? It's what we can see in this moment in Italy, in
yes,
UK, in France, not only Latin America, in Spain. We're having...
There is one thing I agree, but there is one thing that I think it's on our side, and I guess I don't want to get into much politics, but the fact that we all share this Christianity ethics, that eventually we are based on a common way of living life, right? at least in the so-called Western world. And like Latin-rooted country like Italy, Spain, Portugal, and Latin America, we see our daily life the same. So even though we are a pond apart, the ethics is there, and is founded on I would say on Christianity.
But also,
yes.
But also, it's about rebuilding the relationships.
Yes, absolutely.
Inside organizations and people among nations.
Exactly.
How do we have to rebuild it in order to have this this governance, to be transparent, to be accountable, to be a driver of growth and a better way of life to the humanity?
Well, I mean, I don't pretend to have a solution, and for sure mine is going to be the worst of the solution, but to ease the process, like we call it about red tape, to try to get away about this red tape and try to, even show your vulnerability as a CEO makes you a normal person. Like people want to have a person that you have the 3-4 degrees, but at the end of the day, it's good to have a talk with everybody in the room, because eventually we are providing services, we are not providing the goods, right? And the real economy is who produces goods, right? And who can be the farmer, can be the builder, can be the plumber. And it's good. And also it makes you appreciate the struggle that they go through. So like to talk like a little bit more, like less mathematics, less politics, like simple, and have a chat with people. That's what I see.
I like that last point, and that's where I would like to go deeper.
Yes.
On the simplicity, on the way to make evolve this ESG, as well as for the finance sector and for the rest of the businesses, of the organizations, for all players in the stock markets, for the customers of hedge funds, for the ones who receive funding from the different kinds of funds. How to rebuild it in your viewpoint as a quant?
Okay, well, can I say something that is going to sound funny? I think you still have to remain the same person and remember where you came from, even though you are a quant and a mathematics degree, because not everybody talks your own language, right? You will receive money, because receiving money and making investment creates opportunity. How, probably we your panel of guests from the political and, the university side that they can help. So what the finance industry has to do is they have to go back and remember that what finance does is redistributing wealth for who doesn't, for who is in deficit to who is in surplus. That's what it is. Right? This is what it is. And for me, my aim is providing financial literacy, and remember people that unfortunately there are people that speculate, and the role of hedge funds, actually they were born to hedge, right? To hedge. But it's the role of them, the investment banks, your high street bank, is to relocate money from who does have in surplus to who doesn't have, right? In its
scarcity.
Yeah, who has a scarcity. So that's, if we go back to the core principle, right? I think, people will understand. And it doesn't matter how problematic,
Use the finance system for the redistribution of richness.
Yes.
Well-being.
Although I want to say that I'm not on the left side, but...
No, and we're not talking about taking out nothing of the rich ones.
Exactly.
To have more people, as it happens, I don't know, somewhere.
I love that.
I don't know, somewhere. But what we have to understand is, because I have met a lot of very rich people who is highly conscious of these the ways that we can make happen this kind of redistribution, and it is usually with production.
Exactly.
When we produce more, we can distribute more.
The only wording I would say is, let's not put all our eggs in one basket, in the sense that let's not be reckless and do it at full force. It has to be a progressive thing, right? Because then we end up like Germany these days, right? Or the UK. We were told the UK and Germany, they had to reopen up the coal mines because they cannot have enough, energy consumption, right? So it's good to talk about the future and look after and think about what the new generation, what they may find, right? But as far as I'm concerned, the future is not as grim as people say, right? Actually, I could cite studies that have been done where they've taken for example, the fifth most used raw material, right, from the 1980s onwards, and you can see that the price has, gone down almost, 3 times as much as what it used to be. And that tells you two things. One, we have either we have become way more efficient, so we use less product to produce much more. And third, if the price has gone down, it means that there is a lot of surplus. So there are problems that have to be tackled. Nobody denies that, but it's not as bad as
No. The fact here is to keep the equilibriums.
That's a good one. Can I steal it?
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yuri, after closing this conversation,
yes,
what can you tell, not me, to the rest of the people, to the ones who will see us through the internet? What do you feel? What's your experience in this event, in the risk and in the risk conference?
So at the conference, I can see that there are a lot of young people, and this is a great thing. A lot of young people that want to expand. All I can say to the other people is, so there is one thing that people do not recognize, or maybe they do, but it's like, the freely available information that comes with internet, that to use it as much as possible, because that's going to be an edge, right? So don't disregard what you find in it. I know that everything can be politicized. We're not talking about that. What I say is, education is the main thing, like, and never stop learning, right? And my thing is, in the future and not long future, is that probably bachelor's degree won't even be needed, because people can learn everything from the web. So that's the power we didn't have in the...
Well, but with the difference of the human contact that
exactly.
will never be substituted.
Exactly.
And about the event itself, about the Risk Management and Trading Conference, what's your experience, your personal experience?
I'm loving it. It's my first time here, so I actually have to thank, the organization committee that allowed me to be here. For me, it's actually a privilege, because one of the dreams that I had is, like, you go to university and then with the aim of going to work, but being able and be called upon, to go and explain. I think this is something that it goes beyond privilege. It's just humble. So I'm actually humble and thankful for RiskMathics to have given me this opportunity. And guys, you have to keep up, because next year, if you not call me, I'm gonna knock on the door.
Sure. We'll have you here. Naturally, absolutely.
No, it's lovely to be.
We'll be great.
It's a great event. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
My pleasure, indeed. Yuri Perin, Quant multi-asset, asesor de múltiples hedge funds, él con base en Reino Unido. Realmente un privilegio el poder hablar con él, sobre todo de estos temas de ESG, de lo que viene en materia de sostenibilidad que debemos de contemplar en las organizaciones y en el rediseño mismo de nuestras estrategias empresariales. No solamente en el sector financiero, en absolutamente todas las empresas. Un gusto y un honor tenerlo aquí en el Risk Management and Trading Conference 2023. Y seguimos adelante con las charlas, que cada una de ellas nos sigue dejando mucho y mucho más que pensar y mucho más que hacer.